Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 268, and today we're doing Battle in the Call of the Mountain Gauntlet. And so, before the Call of the Mountain Gauntlet leaves us, I did want to get some of these decks out to the forefront, get them in front of you, and so you can use them if you're looking to finish off the gauntlets, just come out here and have a little fun, or try and jump in and get the Prime Glory. I think these decks are all satisfactory, they're all good, they just didn't quite fit into the Call of the Mountain lineups that we've been bringing, and then with the holiday season getting kind of in the middle of the Call of the Mountain Gauntlet, I didn't get the chance to put these out in front of you. And so we can go ahead and pull up the deck lists we'll be bringing today. First and foremost, we're going to be playing dragons. I'm really surprised we haven't seen more dragons. This is a deck that was quite powerful at the time. It's a deck that has a lot of power against the aggro strategies of the formats because your units are all just a little bit bigger than what your opponent's doing. It can bang with the mid-rangey decks of the format because it does have quite a bit of card advantage to it in the likes of things like Vanguard Redeemers and what's your name? Egghead Researchers generating us extra dragons. And then, of course, you have the big boy at the end of the day, the Aurelian Soul, as a means of battling against any kind of control deck in the format. And so the thing that I've always stressed in terms of the dragons is the mid game and the late game. I don't want to say is not important, but you do have to get to that stage of the game. You do have to be able to interact with your opponent in the early game. If you just get overrun by the Noxus decks, you're never going to have the opportunity to get your Eclipse Dragons and your Aurelian Souls onto the board. And so I think it's very important to have this big early game package. We're playing 9 2-drops between the Egghead, the Lieutenant, and the Mountain Goat. And then we have 3 drops between the Vanguard Sergeant and the Vanguard Redeemer. Just a lot of ways to get on board early. We want to try and shut down our opponent and then count on our bigger units to kind of carry us through the rest of the way. The next thing that I always mention with this deck is from like turn 4 forward, you're probably not going to have the mana to spend on spells, right? As you want to play a Shyvana on turn 4, a Screeching Dragon on turn 5, say we play another Screeching Dragon on turn 6, an Eclipse Dragon on turn 7, a curve like that only leaves us with 1 mana to spend on spells. So we do need to have a nice collection of early game spells so that we're not getting completely stuck in these turns to where we need to play 2 spells in the same turn, but we have a hand that has like 4+ cost cards in it, and we only have 6 mana, and so we're dropping like Shyvana and then not doing anything else. And so we do have this big package of Ranger's Resolve, Single Combat, Sharp Sight, and Pale Cascade. That really helps tie in to having the something to do aspect, if you will, as we approach the mid game. The last card I wanted to call out is Dragon's Clutch. This was a card I'm pretty sure was upgraded since the release of Call of the Mountain. I don't feel like this was in its current form at the time, given that I know that Overwhelm piece hasn't always been there. It used to just draw 2 different dragons or give allies +1/+1, but that Overwhelm piece is what lets us get away without playing any rallies. As we talk about decks like these big mid-rangey decks like Shyvana Dragons or Leona decks, you either have to overwhelm, you have to rally, or you have to elusive. You can't be running into these games to where you have like 60 power of units on the board and your opponent's just like, LOL, I block with my hapless aristocrat, and you don't get to deal any damage. And so we're not playing any rallies today. Golden Aegis isn't in the format. Relentless Pursuit isn't that spectacular, but Dragon's Clutch does everything that we need it to do, whether or not that's attempting to draw Aurelian Souls or giving all of our team +1/+1. A lot of in the same vein there brings us to deck number 2. We're playing Katarina Leona, and this was a concept that we brought forth in one of our previous Timewinders as to where we were playing Aurelian Soul in the ramp deck. We couldn't play Aurelian Soul with our Leona. We're carrying this idea that we have to either overwhelm, rally, or elusive, and if you're not playing Aurelian Soul, that's what lets you kind of tie into Double Targon. Then you can move to Demacia and pick up a rally. We were looking towards Katarina, and this deck kind of blew up a bit and constructed since then. It is much more aggressively oriented that we played in the past video of kind of taking a peek at what some of the people are doing in the current constructed format, and we're going to see if the Katarina Leona can't carry over into this format. As we said right at the beginning of the season, I felt like Leona was going to be one of the real key cards in this upcoming meta of Call of the Mountain. This is one of the cards that was upgraded from the Call of the Mountain days of the past, and I feel like she probably had a really strong place in the current format. We've started to see more and more and more of her, and I think that she's definitely one of the pillars of the format as we kind of set about Swain in the Rising Tides format. And so, again, Katarina is the big addition here. As we build this gigantic board of Daybreak Bros, we tend to not be able to deal damage to the opponent, but the Katarina rallies are what let us punch through. Last but not least, we have a bit of a fun one out here. We'll see how the Sejuani Teemo goes. And this is a kind of a big Sejuani build around, if you will. It has a lot of the kind of key elements that you need to pop off with the Sejuani, and I think that she's very well positioned in this style of format where we see a lot of decks like Katarina Leona that just don't interact with her very well. As your opponent, as your Leona opponent generates just this gigantic board of units, they don't have a great way to stop you from just shutting down their board with Sejuani. The Sunburst is too small to kill a flipped Sejuani, and then otherwise they have to just kind of invoke into a Obliterate to try and take her off of the board. And so I think Sejuani has a lot of power out here, and Teemo can be quite powerful in these kind of more mid-rangey based formats if he can come down and really just start to apply the Puffcaps as we assume the game is going to push on for just a little bit. And so we do have some cards that are very strong dual synergy cards. We're using the Ballistic Bot as kind of a key card to the deck. The Ignitions come in and activate a lot of things, whether or not that is the damage we need for Sejuani to get her level up, the Starlit Seer bonus stats, or the Puffcap Peddler to put the additional Puffcaps into the opposing decks. We get lots of bonus combos out of the Ballistic Bot, and it's what really kind of ties the room together, if you will. Last but not least, we are playing Feel the Rush. This is a deck to where both of our champions have those elusive elements to them. Teemo with Elusive, Sejuani with Overwhelm, and that's a fantastic way to just close out the games when you just get to drop the 20 power of units onto the board. And so, those are the decks we'll be bringing today. I checked on the pay-to-win price, and we are all paid up. So let's go ahead and jump on into battle. The 3 decks are here. We can hit confirm. Let's get started. All right, so let's see how it goes. See if we can't get ourselves some good games in here. See if we can't remember that Sunburst does 6 damage now. And so that was a bit unfortunate. That was how we finished off our final battle in the previous video. Spoiler alert. I for the longest time, Sunburst only dealt 5 damage, and I admittedly don't play a ton of Sunburst-based decks, and I couldn't quite remember that the that the Sunburst dealt 6, and we just let a Leona hang out way too long when we could have easily dealt with her. But here, up against these, I'm not worried about Soraka. I think our lineup is very well tuned to dealing with Tahm Kench. I looked at playing something like the Diana Leona deck, but the problem to me with Diana Leona is, what do we say about all of these decks? You either need to be able to elusive, you need to be able to rally, or you need to be able to overwhelm. Those aspects don't exist in the Diana flavor of Leona. The current iterations of the deck are getting the overwhelms from the Winding Light, but back in Call of the Mountain, that card didn't exist, and so no bonuses there. All right, let's see how the old mirror match style things goes. I'm okay to hang on to Katarina here, I do believe. We're not really going to be like punching in Katarina early, but the opposing deck shouldn't be able to kill her. And so I do like the idea that we can get her down early and try and take advantage of some of these opposing boards. All right, reasonable enough trade in the early turns. No daybreaks for us. We can't really continue to punch on, but we'll see if we can't get our rearguard bro, our precious pet bro onto the board. Come in for some big points of damage. Look at them. Biggest points of damage. All 5 coming right at your face. That's what counts as the biggest points of damage now. 5. You know, you gotta take your wins when you can get them. You take your victories when they come about. And so we'll take it as it is. So coming with these, we won't be able to cast the Meteor Shower in time to kill our opponent's 3/4. I think we want to take the Fallen Comet just as a means to kill an opposing Leona. We'll just take this. I'm going to look to just attack around the Sun Guardian next turn. I don't think it's a turn for Katarina. We could play Katarina. Maybe it is. We can't Pale Cascade, but I don't think we're going to need to. That's a big old board. We're going to struggle with these, bros. But get a nice 5 chunk of damage in. We've got our opponent drop down to 10. We do have a Decimate in hand, so we just need to kind of come up with 6 points of damage in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully we can use that to close out the game. So I do want to go ahead and Blade's Edge this Sun Guardian. We could look to just be sending everything to face, but I imagine like as we come into this next turn, opponent's going to play a Daybreak unit. It's going to grow the Sun Guardian, and I would like to be able to just kill it with the Precious Pet. All right. Not the most intimidating card from opponent. We should again be able to get Katarina going. He does have... Interesting. He does have access to Sunburst mana here, but do we ever worry about it? Looks like he's just kind of hanging out with that mana behind. Let's just add another dude, bank the 3 mana, and then we can try and open attack next turn. Maybe get a good Pale Cascade. It just feels like I don't know. I'm not really excited about him coming in and just booming Katarina. This could be a good potential spot for it, though. Like, I want to leave the Pale Cascade back. We do have the 1 damage we can dome at the Sun Guardian, but let's see what he does, right? The rally here is kind of scary. It seems like, yeah, he's just saving his Daybreak thing. So let's get a unit on board. Could look to just decimate this round. We have the Nox and Fervors in here as well as the potential to finish the game off with the burn. Alright, not yet. Exit the game, please. Bye-bye, Leona. That's what you have to tell the opposing units. Exit the game, please. We don't want any more of your shenanigans. All right, Ravoon comes in. Again, it's fairly scary. He's got that. He's got the ability to kill Katarina even without the Daybreak element, and so I'm afraid she's going to be falling, but we have to start punching in here. Hopefully we can get a good clear on his board, though. Yep. Not surprised. Not surprised. Yeah, that's so brutal. This combat's no good anymore. Let's just go for the burn plan. Interesting. We can still attack, right? We don't have to not attack here anymore, but let's still just play it slow. Katarina. Interesting. It's unfortunate that she's like our only good attacker, but if we get to play Katarina twice this turn, we can just kill him with Blade's Edges. And if we don't get to play Katarina twice this turn, he should be, like behind on blockers. Alright, let's see if he's got a Pale Cascade to go along with it. Really just want to dig for the other burn spell, right? We just need to find 1 point of damage. So So close. So very close to that lethal burn. I guess we do have to worry a little bit. Like, I don't suspect the opposing removal suite, or the opposing spell, like they could be playing Unspeakable Horror. It just doesn't strike me as a deck that's going to have drains in it. I guess in the current ladder decks, they do play Doom Beast, and so maybe there is some potential there, but... Alright, we should be safe. Here it comes. This is what everybody came here to see. I love doing stuff like this. Laser it up. Laser it up. Boom. But that game right there illustrates the exact problem with the opposing deck compared to what we were doing. We know that the opponent doesn't have any way to actually kill us that turn, right? Without having a Leona to bring a bunch of stuns onto our units, we could just block like his 7 power and his 8 power guy. We're going to take like 9 damage or something and not die. And so, again, that's the difference between the current iteration of Diana Leona and the one that you're seeing in Call of the Mountain is the Winding Light. If you had a Winding Light for that game, we would have just been dead. And so, worth noting there. It's why we're not playing it. So much Leona running around in the ladder right now. It's what we're going to bring into our next video. Same guy here. I'm up with the same band. But it was a space to where... All right, are we just going to play another mirror? If you go to like runeterra.ar and sort by win rate, there's just a ton of Leona decks up at the very top. And I want to bring a little bit of that forward before the patch comes out in the next day. All right, we're a few days away from a patch. There should be a patch before the Last Chance Gauntlet start up. All right, but reasonable enough start. I'm okay to hang on to Leona in these matchups. She's so incredibly strong that it's great, just to know that you have access to her and you're not going to die before she comes online. All right, dude's got a Diana. Like, I don't think we care. I'm really surprised he didn't try to hook down our shield breaker, given that we only had 1 mana. But this is all looking good. All of our attacks here, pretty strong. I'm happy to just come in and kind of clear out some board, and then we picked up the Fallen Comet off of our Priestess as a means to kill an opposing Leona. Do just have a horrible draw. I mean, I guess this gives him the means to hook down our Sun Guardian with Diana, but kind of okay with that.
As the moon rises, quiet reflection begins.
She doesn't have Challenger yet, right? You gotta bring on a Nightfall before she gets that good stuff.
A peace built on lies would never last.
All right, I got one of those too.
I am the bulwark against darkness.
People call me the bulwark against darkness. Feels good, man. I like it when people recognize how big my shield is, Look at that. Corrupted Leona got a big shield. Okay. Good turn. Just keep going on with the Fallen Comets. I think it's probably the way to go. If we're not taking down Dianas and we're taking down Ravoons or whatever, that still feels like a pretty good turn. And the question, do we ever get lethal this round? It's like we have the option to both Morning Light and Pale Cascade. But it's not as good. Like, dropping off the Morning Lights without having Ravoon on the board isn't as special as I would like it to be. Let's just go for damage.
Where's my axe? Won't get past me.
Witness glory. Answer to me.
So this looks good. If he wants to put Ravoon as a trade in front of Sun Guardian, that feels like a gigantic win. You just have massive board from this point forward. I think we're good now. Legion Rearguard doing his thing. God, this has been a fantastic set of games, man. Getting the Legion Rearguards on the board, getting Decimates going. That's what life's about. I hope you all know what life's about in these terms. Oh, and Cat turns up. Nice.
Forger, your work is unparalleled.
That is nice.
Divine power of the sun.
So he can gain some health. It's not that big of a deal, especially if we're going to start coming at him with Katarina. So let's come in and just take down Leona. She's the scary one at the moment for us. You can just take 5 from Dum Dum over here and then look to win next turn. GG. Looks like we'll win on the current turn.
Daylight everlasting.
All right, 2-0 against XX Sky XX in the Leona mirror match. Feels good. Maybe we'll play against him again. Let's keep sending it on. Bring him out. Whew. That reminds me, there's a delightful band in West Virginia. Their name is Ona. It reminded me of them as you keep saying Leona over and over and over again. There's a band from West Virginia named Ona. They're good. Like they were local to where I grew up in Huntington, and so I don't want to call it easy listening. Easy listening is like what you get when you turn on. When you turn on like Kenny G or something, but I think that chill kind of folksy rock stuff. I don't know. I'm not good at describing it, but I'm a fan of a lot of their work. At any rate, back to the action here. I'm fine to just leave up Tom Kench. I don't care about that deck. I think we just want to ban out the Nightfall. I think as long as we just get like a little bit of time with whatever we're playing, we're gonna be okay. We'll look to just play the not Leona deck this time, just to kind of see what happens. Give us a little bit of different stuff to do, and let's take in the dragons this round. I'm not amped about running Teemo Feel the Rush up against Soraka Tom Kench. They just have a lot of good ways to deal with the smaller units that we have, and so we'll just send out the dragons. See what the big boys got to say today. The big girls, I guess I should say. I'm pretty sure, well, I'm pretty confident Shyvana's a girl. She looks to be a female, and then I'm pretty sure Aurelion Sol is a lady as well, and so maybe I'm right on that. Who knows? All right, coming at us with the Crusty Codger aggro. I feel you. I feel you. So we're just going to need a little bit of time here in the early game. I think I'm fine to drop a Mountain Goat first. Just, we're going to come down and just trade with something. And so it's the the worst unit we have in terms of trading. Oh, nice.
I don't change fate, but I can discipline and steel.
Okay, Vanguard Sergeant on board. And this is a game showing exactly what I was talking about when I was talking about kind of the spell selection for this deck. As we run into this space, we don't have the mana to drop a bunch of spells, right? As we put the White Flame Protector down, we could have pivoted a little bit and just played a 3 or something, but our units just tends to play like straight through on curve, and we don't really have the space to play a good combat trick. but this is fine. Our IP Mountain Goat will try to wear down his board just a little bit. I'm not too worried about that loss against the Protector. If he's going to play a Soraka, then it starts to be a little scary, but without something like her, it's not that intimidating. Imagine he's up to some kind of shenanigan here. He doesn't just pass with 6 mana, but I wanted to be in a space to where we could look to single combat, especially if we're going to get the opportunity to like take down a Soraka. Interesting. I don't think I'm quite ready to play a 4 Demacia. That's something we could look to use 2 turns from now, or as the way that this board is developing, we'll just kill him with Dragon's Clutch, but seems to be going okay here.
Fire and fury burn in me.
Sunburst onto Shyvana. Okay. Interesting. All right. We'll see what we can do. I feel relatively safe when we have this single combat running around, so we'll see what they do. We shouldn't be able to heal 12 this turn. I would like to get more dragons on board, though. Like, if we're going to be going for this Dragon's Clutch kind of play, then we need the extra dragons on board, and so hopefully we can come out and find something in that sense.
Today we turn the tide of war.
All right. Well, your big heal thing. So how does this play out this round? I mean, we'll have 11 mana. That's a little awkward. The Empyrean wasn't really the dragon we were looking for, but sometimes you got to do the best with what you got. Got to double check on Dragon's Clutch. It is a burst spell. I didn't want to get into this combat and then be like, oh no, Dragon's Clutch is actually a focus. And so we're good in that sense. Let's go ahead and drop the gem. You look like a fine target. Send in the bros. So we may not be able to lethal this round, but his blocks aren't particularly good, and if he gets too greedy with what he's doing, then we should get a pretty big shutdown. As it stands, like if we want to go for the overwhelm play with the way he's blocking, we'd be getting in 3 damage from the Empyrean. Let's see, how much is that? He's got cards behind, so he can just heal out of this, but what if we just say let this happen and then single combat down the Broadback Protector? Or I should say attempt to single combat it down. I think I'm on board. So many of these things. Just try and take some of that heal away from him. Okay. Probably have to single combat this turn, just to make sure that he doesn't kill us with Star Spring. It should be tough to heal 10, but no, that's the thing that brings me a scary at the moment. Living Legends. That should bring some scaries as well. Okay. Not too worried about these silences onto the Empyrean, right? We do have the Dragon's Clutch. But we did dodge the big Celestials coming out of here, right? He's not going to play the... the biggest one he could be dropping now would be like the Destroyer, the 7/7 Overwhelm Spell Shield. Oh, this is permanent, isn't it, on the Dragon's Clutch? Okay, that's pretty cool. Again, it helps to read your cards on occasion. Remember that. See if he's got anything else. Got one more card coming at us. Oh, that Equinox is kind of nasty. But he's pretty out of mana at this point. I'm fine to take down the Broadback Protector. We get a point of attack, and then we also get to prevent that heal coming into the next turn. The question we'll have now is, do we want to play for Demacia, which... Interesting. It's only got 2 cards in hand. And I think we're on board. As it stands, like, he can overwrite the Star Spring, but I think that's okay. Right, he's not going to overwrite the one to the left, but he can overwrite this one that has fewer ticks on it. Okay, good deal. Well done, deck. GG. It's good to stop and read your cards, man. That's the one that that really burnt us in the previous video when we didn't stop to read a Sunburst. It's good to stop and read cards you don't play that frequently. Reading the Dragon's Clutch to make sure that it actually is a permanent overwhelm and not so much a singular turn overwhelm. Knowledge granted from me to you. You're welcome. Sure, you can read, but you know. Helps if someone reads to you. Give you a little bedtime story and stuff. All right, different opponent. What are we up against here? Gangplank Sejuani, Braum, which we'll never ban, and then what looks to be... I would assume a Feel the Rush deck coming out of Trundle, Aurelion Sol. And so I think we can probably handle the Gangplank deck. I mean, that was our kind of, middle of the road kind of thing to be doing battle with. Trying to decide if we want to just bring Teemo up against this nonsense. Like, I'll play Teemo against the Feel the Rush deck. We got our own Feel the Rushes. Let's see if we can't do it. Let's see if we can't bring that out. Play Teemo Sejuani up against the Feel the Rush. Otherwise, the Braum deck, it doesn't sound spectacular, but we should be able to get like a lot of time against it. It tends to be that same problem where we always talk about overwhelms, elusives, or rallies. It tends to not be able to do that. They don't play a lot of cards like Might. They don't play rallies whatsoever, and so it's tough for them to do. The game break? Get it together, Riot. Trying to make a video here. Yeah, no, kitty. You want to hang out? Come on. Got a cat meowing at me. Let's restart it, see what happens. Look at that. I restarted the game and it just says opponent left. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Didn't give us a win. That's okay. I don't need to be given wins. What do you think, Pipper? Meowing and meowing and meowing. All right, so what do we got here? We got some kind of Teemo deck, leaving that up, and then Yasuo will never ban him. Let's just ban out the Deep. If we want to actually bring the Teemo deck forth, we can't be doing it against these Shadow Isles decks. There's just too many Vile Feasts and stuff to shut down our Teemo game plans, and so assuming he doesn't ban Teemo, that's who we'll play against whatever deck he brings forth. These are the dumbest cats. Oh my god, he banned out our Teemo? People are lame, man. People are lame. The time we're trying to do it. No, these cats are so dumb. It's like they come up to me and just meow. And then you move a little bit, so you say, okay, come here. And then they just walk away. They walk to the other side of you and just start meowing. So you turn the other way, say, "Hey, come here," and then they just look at you and move away. And so these things are dumb. But all right. Anyways, back to the action. Up against Yasuo Swain. Let's just full mulligan this and look for some cheaper units. Our deck tracker go away? Did we lose that? Where are you at, Mastering Runeterra thing? See if we can get that back up as well. All right. No turn 1 plays. It has been decided. Turn 2, though. We have one for turn 2. You bring the stuns. Got the Yasuo deck over here bringing the stuns. I'll bring the stuns with the Infinite Mind Splitter. We'll see. We'll see who does a better job at the end of the day. Yeah. Here we go. Here she is. She made her way up here. Says, "What up, internet? I've been a fixture of the recent videos." Welcome aboard, kitty. Welcome aboard. All right, our turn is shut down. Not the biggest deal. We're not trying to be some kind of early game aggro deck. And now we do have a ton of answers to Yasuo should he make an appearance. Interesting pass from the opponent. Maybe he's trying to protect his Yasuo. I could see an argument for just passing there, but he's just given up a lot. Shyvana doesn't really do much on this board. Like, if we had a combat trick, Shyvana would be more interesting. Let's just come in with the Screeching. It provides some scaries to what he's actually doing here. I would assume that, like, if your sequencing is Tail of the Dragon or Concussive Palm, whatever we're going to call this thing, into, like, a do-nothing, then you probably just have a bunch of expensive shit in your hand, right? And so I would expect from, like, turn 5 forward here, he's going to be playing, like, Swain and the Leviathan or whatever, but interesting. Not the cards I was expecting to see today. I mean, Death Lotus does help level up your Swain, but not what I was expecting to see. Was expecting to see Swain, though, right? Given the way this game sequenced, he's going to be playing these expensives from here on out. But we got the Sunburst, and we checked it. Look, we read it. Deal 6. We deal 6 to the unit. Turns out Swain has a 6 health. And so if you do 6 minus 6, that gets you to 0. We should be able to kill the Swain, and so glad I could help. Glad I could bring those mathematical possibilities to you. See what we can do moving forward. Now, here in this space, it does look like opponent's going to have a Ravenous Flock for our dragon, right? He's got to have one of these deal damage to a damaged unit or some kind of something to... Oh, go get it. To deal with this stuff. So it's like, I don't really want to be playing the Vanguard's draw card guy, or you Vanguard Redeemer, even if we get to draw a fresh unit this card this turn. I want to have access to, say, playing Shyvana and having mana next turn. A lot of potential for a big Ranger's Resolve now. If we're going to say go for the Concerted Strike onto Swain, and then he comes in and plays a Ravenous Flock, we would get the chance for the takedown. All right, well. Definitely get the takedown here. Big ol' Yone coming in. Not too afraid of Yone. Infinite Mind Splitter is looking to do the work, assuming he doesn't have a Mind Splitter of his own.
I follow only one path, my own.
So how do we go about this? Like, if we add the Infinite Mind Splitter and then he has a Recall, that's brutal, but it should be too expensive for him at this point, right? So let's just go ahead and throw the Mind Splitter in. Threaten the stuns. You just take a Yasuo hit, I don't care about that. And now, even if he's getting Yasuo strikes or whatever, he's not going to be able to block with either of these units. And the question comes, do we want to play any of these other cards? And it's probably a good for Demacia turn. And so we can look to, say, add the Mountain Goat. That's going to leave us with enough mana behind to Ranger's Resolve should we need to. And then we can drop it for Demacia.
Only the lucky ones return home.
I assume there'll be some kind of Yasuo strike coming in, but we should be able to lethal around it. Agree or disagree? Shadow lost X. Yeah, he's gonna. Oh, he goes for the dragon. Okay, I was like, oh boy, he's gonna try and stun Shyvana, and we're just totally gonna get out of this with Ranger's Resolve. But okay. So his new thing is going to be like a Steel Tempest, right? But I think this is okay. If his angle is to, say, block the Infinite Mind Splitter with the Legion General, then we can just get around it with the Ranger's Resolve. And he's going to try and stun Shyvana or something. So we didn't get the lethal this turn, but our dragon's going to stick around, stun Yone and Yasuo on the next start. Oh, we just had lethal anyways. Good job, fam. Good job. All right, we got to get a game in with Teemo, though. Got to. We'll try our hardest from this point forward, as long as we can find a reasonable-ish matchup. All right, next battle. Let's see if we fixed it. Restarted the game. Restarted the deck tracker. Maybe it'll turn up. You can see our sweet deck list on the screen, you know? It's a pretty big ask, and so we'll see if it worked out. Where are you at, opponent? Is everyone else having the same problems today? There it goes. All right, so if we're going to go for it, this is the kind of matchup where we can try. We'll ban out the Maokai deck. People. Okay. Well, we'll switch back to Leona for this one. Give us a little bit more opportunity against what looks to be an aggressive deck out of the Teemo. I like having access to the Katarinas there, but up against another Leona matchup. And so I'll hang on to the Shield Breaker, I'll hang on to Leona, and see if we can't find some more Daybreaks to fill in the rest of the way. Doing my Daybreak thing, bro. I'll offer up the trades. Like, I suspect that, our deck is going to be more aggressively oriented than the opposing one, given that we're playing the 9 1-drops and the Decimates and everything. And so getting those units off of the board and giving us the potential to attack through. Like, if I know this game isn't sequencing this way, but if we find a space to where, it's turn 4 and we're adding 2 dudes to the board and he's just adding 1. I like having that empty space out there to potentially attack around this stuff. Can't sway me, bro. Alright, so no good targets for the Pale Cascade, but still punching in. No Daybreaks from opponent. Good stuff. Decimate, not the good stuff. Not exactly what we're looking for here. Do we ever just chuck it? Do we ever just send it to face? That feels a little greedy. Let's just keep that mana banked up and go with Ravoon. Getting that chip damage in. So your Aurelian Soul means nothing as we drop our Decimates on you. Oh, snap. We just gotta deal 4 more damage and this one's done, right? You do have to worry, like, this deck strikes me as one that would potentially be playing a... like, heal. A heal 4 invoke, whatever that thing is called. But we're definitely about to get wider than this deck, so... We got the more timely Leona activations here.
The power of the immortal sun. I am the bulwark against darkness.
I'm the bulwark against darkness, bro. My Leona's corrupted. It's not as scary as I thought. I talked about this a lot in the previous video. I don't really like the scary skins, you know? I don't come into my games of Runeterra looking to be scared. And you know, I think this one's it's got a lot of bright pictures on it and stuff. I think it's kind of growing on me in terms of not being completely scary. Or Ravoon.
Our sun will not set today.
We just got a big tempo now, and so we should be able to just like crush in on this turn. Like even if he plays a Daybreak, stuns our Ravoon, we get to crush in for 5. Then we should be in a pretty good spot in terms of just blowing him up with Decimates. Is it ever worth just going ahead and dropping a Pale Cascade? I mean, I don't think we're using it in any other way. We still get the 3 bank. We can just start to decimate. I like it.
Bless the faithful and fear the heretics.
All right, he gets a stun.
The sun's splendor
Now watch this. We get a stun. This turns out our cards are a lot better when we got Ravoon on the board. This would have been a nice spot to have that Pale Cascade, assuming he doesn't play anything else and just hooks in our Sun Guardian. But, you know, I think we're going to be fine here, especially if we want to Morning Light next turn and get the double stun. The keys to our board, the Leona and the Ravoon, aren't going anywhere. Do we want to wait till next turn for this Sun Guardian? I bet we do. He should be kind of like done with stuff now, right? So we can roll into next turn, just get a bunch of stuns, and then try and decimate him out on the following turn. It says, oh snap, Bust's throwing decimates at me. Oh snap. Whoa! Killed our Leona. That wasn't very friendly. Glad we still got a Morning Light. Or the Morning Light Leona. Not very friendly, dude. We're out here just trying to have a good time, have some fun. You gotta be doing stuff like that.
daylight breaks on the battlefield. Sunlight blinds.
Alright, dude gets an Eclipse Dragon. That's gonna stun our Ravoon. Now with this, do we ever want to play the Solari Priestess instead of the Sun Guardian? Like, there is a world where we just Daybreak into it. Oh, no, we don't. I was thinking of getting, like, the random Daybreaks off of... But I think we still want to... This is who we still want to play. I was thinking of just getting the Daybreaks off of Ravoon where they're random, and I was like, well, if we random into a 1-cost one, that's going to be pretty dope. But not quite how that's going to play out.
Behold the sun's holy light.
Let's just try and chunk out an extra couple points of damage, and then with our double Decimate, we should be right at the lethal zone next turn. Ain't nothing better than being in the lethal zone, you know?
Daylight is unrelenting, but not
Whoever designed the little cat, they deserve a raise. You need to get more emotes. This is not an emote. What is this thing? The little legend? Little legend's a different game. Whatever this little cat thing is, you need to get more of these, Riot. We've been using the Cosmic Vanyip for a while, but I switched back to the OG, the original here recently. This one, the little laser pointer comes out on occasion. The little dots. I don't know how to make it happen, but it's pretty cool when it does.
answer to me.
Not quite sure what opponent's doing here. Seems like they might have disconnected and given up. They probably know that we have all the decimates in our hand, and so they say it's too much. I can't take it. I can't be in an FTP Pust video just going down to decimate. So sad day for everyone involved that isn't FTP Pust. But good stuff. As we wait on this game to end, I'm excited to see what happens in the upcoming patches. If you're familiar with how Riot tends to handle these patches before the new set comes out, they tend to buff a bunch of stuff that should be relevant in the next upcoming set, and so the most like easiest to see one I think in terms of recent memory was when they were going to print a bunch of recall stuff and they went and like upgraded Kennen and a lot of the recall package. I suspect we'll see a fair bit of that happen as we come up onto seasonals. And then I'm also curious, like I guess it's probably like too late to kind of air quotes fix it, but if you look at like every other game in the world, they use the release of a new set and the big premiere constructed event as a way to like advertise the set, right? These big things like the Pro Tours and Magic or Worlds or Seasonals or whatever, they aren't really there for the player. They're there as advertisements to bring eyes to the game. And so as you're like scrolling through Kotaku like all us boomers do, and you see like, oh, there's a big number event next to Legends of Runeterra, maybe I'll check it out. It's not so much as there to give back to the community or whatever people think these events are for. But if you look at, say, like the Magic Pro Tour, they'll release a Magic set, and then like 2 weeks later, the Pro Tour will be there. So you get all of the hype for whatever the new set is, the spoiler season and all that. You get to go to your pre-release event, you get all the drafting in, and then as the excitement starts to wane a little bit, it's like, oh snap, here's the Pro Tour. They're highlighting all of the cards that we have been kind of brewing with out of this new set. And Riot has kind of like just switched to doing that, right? They did it with Worlds as to where Worlds was like 2 weeks or not even. I think it was like the patch came out with the World Ender in it, and then Worlds happened. And so I'm hoping that they move to that kind of thing, that kind of idea and setup. But I say it's probably tough to do, especially as they would have to kind of like announce stuff and get people ready for it and everything. And so, it's tough. But here with this set, we're not going to find a way to get to play our Teemo. Maybe we'll just play it anyways. And so if we're going to play our Teemo anyway, God, this is just such a bad set of decks to play Teemo into. Such a bad set of decks. Fine, guys, we'll try it. We're like a pro. Well, fuck you, dude. What else can you say? What else can you say in that space, man? All right, I guess if everybody's just gonna ban Teemo out today, I guess we just won't fucking play him. We're gonna have to take him into the final battle. Oh, hopefully we'll have some good matches there. All right, we need more early game stuff though. We can't have these hands where it's just Shyvana and we don't do anything until the fourth turn. Like I said, we got these 9 2-drops and 4 3-drops. It's kind of okay if we only play like 1 card in the first 3 turns. It's a pretty big disaster if we play 0 cards in the first 3 turns. And so we'll take the hard mulligan. Hopefully somebody will turn up here. Nobody wants to party just yet. I don't want to overbank that 3 mana, so. Come on, game. I know you can do it. Give us a good one. Don't let the disasters strike. Did we hit it? Alright, he's a dude. Welcome to the board, Dragon Guard Lieutenant. Dropping Vile Feasts. I don't know about that, man. I'm just going to pass. I was gonna say, it seems like he's going to bring in another one if he really wants to kill this unit. And then if we get the Rangers resolved to come in and take down a bunch of spiders, that's not horrible. You know, it's not the most exciting turn, but it's something.
Claws to get out.
Leaping into action.
Interesting.
I smell fear.
So what would this deck ever have that causes us problems? If he's going to bring in like a black spear? Huh. Okay. I don't think I'm worried about that. So we'll have to start playing some of these cards this turn. Let's see what opponent starts to bring in. I'm looking at dropping single combats onto Braum. But Hearthguard does start to cause problems there. Can't quite single combat yet. We could look to confront Shyvana and then use Shyvana to try and take down Braum Icevale Archer. I'm ultimately just worried about a Troll Chant, which would be not ideal. Is this just too obvious that we're about to kill the Braum?
Look lively, soldier.
Well. Meh. I don't want to stall it out for too long, right? He's gonna have all the bonuses from his units getting +1/+1 and everything, but gotta come up with something. All right, maybe this is our something. Got a sharp sight in to prevent the Grasp of the Undying. Now we can look to single combat Braum. Still a little worried about a Troll Chant, but this is a good start. Excellent. So he's going to get the Poro, but we get the flip out of Shyvana. I dig it. She's still got Challenger, don't forget that, right? That the bonus from Confront is permanent. So, oh shit, he doesn't even get the Poro. Nice, planned it that way.
Today we fight as one. You will not prevail. Here they come.
All right, it's probably about time to just give up on this board. Let's play the Pale Cascade, though. Get that mana spent, get a little bit of cycle. Looks good. Okay. Feels like we turned the corner a little bit there. Do we want to go for cheapo dragon, or are we like worried about the amount of stuff that we have to do? Let's see if we can't pick up some good interactive dragons here. Cadrigen, not quite it. Not quite it. We'll play him eventually. I mean, he has a nice combo with this Eclipse Dragon, but wasn't exactly who I was looking for. Ooh, that's kind of juicy. Let's do this. Let's add the White Flame Protector. If he wants to trade his Hearthguard for the Protector, I think that's okay. Well, that's kind of lame, dude. Alright. Still feels like we're in a pretty good spot. Do have to worry about this rando Tryndamere that's hanging out in here. He is playing a Shadow Isles deck. I don't know if that's going to bring, like, Urdurits or Ruination. It doesn't really strike me as the kind of cards you'd be playing Ruination with, but I think we're probably safe from it. The way that this is kind of shaped out. He wouldn't just be adding all this shit to the board if he had the Ruination. Like, as our next turn rolls around, he could block a lot of our big boys, and so I think we're good there. Oh, shit. Wow. Let's give it one of these. All your stuff starts to die and ours doesn't. That's that's a pretty good round, right? So that's our fresh question now, right? Are we going to worry about the Ruination? He's only got 2 cards left. Maybe we don't play Cadrigen. Like, is 4 Demacia just good enough? If we're just going to 4 Demacia, let's add Mountain Goat. And then if he kills our whole board and then we get to follow up with Cadrigen and Screeching Dragon, I think I'm okay with it. But Avalanche is pretty good. Pretty good. Was not anticipating that one. I was so hype about that that Ranger's Resolve we got on the previous turn that something like Avalanche was not in my brain zone. But we get that nice permanent buff to our dragons for the rest of the game. That's nice. Try and take him into 1. See if he's got a Harsh Winds. Okay, okay. Hi, fam. How y'all feeling about this one now? Are we in good shape? I think we're in good shape. It is just awkward that you have to worry about dumb shit like... the thing that sucks is, like, if we go into the next turn, and then he's got a... and then he's got, like, a Harsh Winds, and we can't get the kill. But now as we see Commander Ladros come down, we can Sunburst kill him. He's gonna... get silenced so he won't last breath in. Now we can add in Screeching Dragon, and we shouldn't have to worry about Harsh Winds anymore. Shouldn't. Alright, squad, get him. Rip it. GG. Oof. Okay. Okay. Made our way to the final battle. I'm gonna do it, okay? If it feels like a place where we can play Teemo, I'm gonna bring it. Now, I have played a bit of like Teemo Sejuani in the past, and I always felt like the deck was just garbage. And so I will preface it with that. I will put the asterisk on there that as we enter the final battle, that's probably the deck we should not be playing. But it doesn't feel right to include it in the lineup, go through the whole video, and not play it. So if we get an opportunity, we're going to play it. If opponent's playing some kind of weird lineup, where, well, it's not a weird lineup, but if they're like Herdur, here's like a Nivea and Trundlemere and Twisted Fate Swain, then we can't do it. But, all right, we can try it here. We'll ban out the Anivia deck. Okay, all right. Oof, we got a shot. Let's see what we can do. Taking it up against Yasuo Leona. Okay. I mean, it should be a deck that we have a lot of potential to just like attack a lot with Teemo. Which he's not starting in our opener. We need a little bit better than this. We need Teemo or one of our 1-drops or one of our 2-drops. We didn't find anything here. Kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. It's just like if you start with the Omen Hawks, you know, you do get that chance to start trying to level up your Sejuani right from the get-go. It's just not here, man. Sad day. Whoa. Did not anticipate Inspired Mentors. I think this is just going to be like a big Daybreak deck that happens to have Yasuo's in it. Say, just so happens to have him in there. Take it. All right, we can get the Seer on board. We're going to start getting all our combos going. Taking this damage isn't that big of a deal. We'll just heal it all back next turn. The elusives are a little bit more problematic, but yeah, and I think we're okay. Got a bit of time here.
Devotion to battle.
I wonder what he's put his mentor on, right? He's played 2 units that the mentor hasn't really interacted with. So I'm curious. But now, I mean, let's just go all in on the sit around mode, right? We got all this heal, we got a bit of interactivity in the troll chant. Should be a deck from opponent that, you know, why I was kind of interested in playing this against the opposing deck is they're not going to play a bunch of removals, right? They don't have mystic shots, they don't have calling strikes, they probably have sunbursts, but we just get a ton of time here. Big old veteran investigator says, "Hey bro, I can bang." I'm ready to party, yo. I got all the stats. Probably won't play him this turn. I'm leaning towards like Tavern Keeper, Troll Chant, Ignition, but let's see. It's a big Yasuo. I guess we see where the stats went there.
Some things never dull.
Walk softly, strike quickly.
Let's talk about your town.
Okay. We can try and get in front of this Yasuo a little bit later from now. Like, I'm not really worried about these kindly Tavern Keepers. They've done their job, right? He gained us 9 health. That does a lot of work in terms of just stalling out the game. All right, doing all the pedaling. Everything's happening. We've got the engine built, right? We've got the ballistic bot, all the Puffcaps coming in and doing their thing. This is good. Yasuo's going to strike down the Starlit Seer. Do we care about that? I mean, I care a little bit, but not enough to save it. I think we need to use this Troll Chant kind of defensively. You don't think opponent's squeezing them butt cheeks yet? He's worried about all the Puffcaps he's got happening in the deck. Squeeze him, bro. Squeeze him. You just dodged it. What do you got? You got 12 Puffcaps in here? You're not taking any Puffcap damage? I don't know about that. So there is some argument to not make attacks like this, as he has access to, like, all of the cards that stun when you attack, and now our veteran investigator like can't block Yasuo, but I think this is okay. Poor Teemo's not getting it done this game. Interesting. So if we heal it up to our ballistic bot up to 5, or up to 3, we can't like Troll Chant to heal into it. So we're just gonna have to let that one go. Do want to play Tavern Keeper though.
Leave your bags at the door.
Okay. See what we can do with Teemo. As we like, if we want to Troll Chant in this combat, we can flip our Teemo and see if he's gonna do something nasty. Concussive Palm's fine. Yasuo gets to flip off this, but if he does attack with his Yasuo now, we'll get to take him down with the Investigator. Which I think would be super cool. Hey, Bust, what do you think's cool? Killing off this Yasuo. I think that would be pretty cool. He does have the same thing going for him and his Yasuo that we have going for all of our Puffcap Peddler kind of cards, right? In that our deck does have removals. We have the Thermogenic Beams and the Mystic Shots, but we don't have a ton of ways to just say, oh, I'm going to kill off this Yasuo and get him off the board. Here he comes.
Beg your pardon?
They grow us so fast.
Let's get that dum-dum out of here. All right, so I want to hang on to the veteran investigator. Ideally, we will eventually get to churn off a bunch of Puffcaps. Ooh, Sejuani? The question is, would we rather save Sejuani for next turn, where she can be a little bit safer in terms of trying to pop off Puffcaps? Probably not. Probably not. We just have so much opportunity for this round. Even if he has a stun for her, then we can pop off. We can still do the frostbite ability thing, and then if he recalls her, then that's a pretty big mana investment.
Our sun will not set today.
See if we get it right from the get-go.
Is it work?
Didn't get it there, but we can Mystic Shot face. There it is. A whoops. A whoops.
Let's take this outside.
Runaway bike, born for conquest.
Now, that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good, right? Somebody tell me, hey, Bust, how good is this? How good is this? Get boomed. Teemo coming through, my dudes. Teemo coming through. Oh, that's great. My day has been made. Whew. Oh, he squeezed him. He squeezed him butt cheeks just tight enough. Just tight enough to get the Puffcap protection.
The strength of the sun and my faith are one.
Uh-oh. I don't want to deal with that thing. See if we can't get into combat and just kill him with Mystic Shot. The chances of it aren't... Well, I was going to say the chances of it weren't super high. Just a real good chance that he's going to come at us with a deny or something, but... Laser beam it. GG. Teemo deck doing its thing. Nice work, Sejuani. I appreciate the things that you do for us. Such a powerful champion. It feels good. Feels good. Ooh, so nice. I was worried to carry Teemo into that final battle, but came through in the end, did what we needed to do, and GG. Glory achieved. Nice games. And so, nice set of battles. You can apparently take this lineup straight to the end if you need to. It's not the most ideal lineups in terms of strategy. This would be more of a good decks lineup, right? As opposed to that strategy we were trying to take before where you try to pick on control decks or pick on aggro decks. But, all across the board, a pretty reasonable set of decks. Again, Shyvana, Aurelion Sol, good stuff. The dragons haven't really, hit at this mark. I think that it's kind of tough in the sense that the early game isn't quite as good as you wanted. When I initially made the deck and did the deck sort, you could find the Ruined Dragon Guard, the 3/4 that gives your guys double fury, but that was a later set card. That was a Viego release and not a Call of the Mountain event release. And so without it, your early game isn't as spectacular as you would like it to be. But if you are playing a deck like Shyvana, Aurelion Sol, I think it's completely fine in this format. But you do need to keep that idea in mind that we say in all these games, you need to either overwhelm, rally, or elusive. You can look towards a Relentless Pursuit. That does exist in the current state, but I don't think Relentless Pursuit is as good in this deck as Dragon's Clutch. We didn't use it to attempt to draw Aurelion Sol, but this can be used in terms of a card advantage engine or a game closer in terms of giving all of your dudes overwhelm. And so don't leave home without it. If you're not playing the Clutch, you have to play Rally. Otherwise, the things to look out for with this one are the early game. You got to have early game stuff to do. We almost had the disaster game where we didn't do anything in the first 3 turns, and you need to try your best to try and avoid that. So good stuff here. Had good fun with Katarina Leona. The current iteration of it, should be much stronger. You're getting to play things like Crimson Pigeon in the current constructed version of this, but I do dig it. As we said in the previous games, if you don't have the elusive Overwhelm or Rally, this deck can have an extremely tough time winning the games. I think we got to see that perfectly as we played against the Nightfall Leona and just crushed it over and over again, our Katarinas did a shitload of work, and they were in a spot to where they could never just win the game. Again, in current constructed, you're playing the Winding Light. The Winding Light does not exist in this current format. You have to have a elusive, overwhelm, or rally. The rallies here are Katarina, and this was pretty good. I was pretty on board with this Katarina deck. The way that we initially came across this kind of deck was doing something similar, right? We were playing Aurelion Sol in a ramp deck. And without access to Aurelion Sol, it was like, well, what do you do with Leona? We need to hit the rallies, the elusives, or overwhelms, and then we picked up the Katarina. And so I don't want to take credit for this deck. I'm sure someone else came up with it as well. I'm not the first one to preach that kind of ideal, but it definitely applies here, and it worked out fantastically. Last but not least, Sejuani Teemo. This could have a place in the format, right? There is a world where... we talked about a lot of these lineup choices and a lot of these decks in terms of just trying to pick one or two matchups that are really good. And so, if you want to say that the most common lineup in the format is something like Jinx Draven, Anivia, and then Twisted Fate Swain. If you have a deck that's both really good against Anivia and really good against Twisted Fate Swain, then you should be able to put yourself in a pretty good situation. And I don't know what the lineup you're looking for is that involves a base Sejuani deck, but they do exist out there, right? If you look at a deck like the Leona decks, they have a bunch of dudes that they put on the board, but their only removal tends to be Sunburst, and a flipped Sejuani can deal with the Sunburst, right? She can just face the whole thing, and they tend to not be able to do well if you're just frostbiting the whole team. They don't have a lot of ways to stop you from activating Sejuani once she's on board, and then they don't have a lot of ways to kill you before turn 6 or turn 7. And so is this the ideal Sejuani deck of the format? Probably not. Probably Gangplank Sejuani is just straight up better. But there's no denying that Sejuani is incredibly powerful. We saw her just dome the Yasuo player as a real strength of power. And so I think the concept here is potentially good. And then, it's an interesting deck. It's a fun deck. If you're in a space to where everybody's just dartling around and not doing anything, and you get to drop in a bunch of Puffcaps or just stall until Feel the Rush. It has a lot of separate angles that can attack opponents that aren't interacting with us very well. And so, good set of games. I had fun. I hope you had fun too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.